us, well, what grip is there out here at Orange County Speedway tonight is going to be the number 47 Atlanta Paving and Concrete Chevrolet out of Davidson, Nevada. Going to be double duty for this driver in Tyler Wright, who will also be piloting a late model stock car for Matt Piercy Racing. There was also discussion earlier today, again, it was planned at the drivers' meeting, that these drivers would not have a dead lap that would come immediately to the green. That has since been amended with some of the weather that we've had, so they will be getting their dead lap back for the remainder of qualifying. So Rife comes around this time. He'll take his first lap in qualifying, and out of turn number 4, Tyler Rife will complete his second lap. We'll give you those laps of record as soon as it becomes available to us here, as Tyler Rife, one of a trio of Bryson Lopez Racing entries that'll take to the Pro Late Model field tonight.
Not that long ago, this driver's father wrapped up a top 5 effort for the second Super Speedway race in a row in the ARCA Menard Series at Talladega. Good job by father in Jason Kitzmiller. Now it's young Isaac Kitzmiller out of Petersburg, West Virginia, and the ALL Construction Incorporated Brackley War number 25. This driver comes into this race second in championship points with the points leader right now, Tristan McKee, not in attendance. He had a previously scheduled Trans Am race out at Simona Raceway on the West Coast, so it could be a big night for Kitzmiller, who's also intending on running the full ARCA Menard Series East schedule, as he did last week at Rockingham. The final lap for Kitzmiller is going to be his fastest, 13.905, but Tyler Rife, who pretty much was the guinea pig for all the competitors to be the first on the racetrack after the race came through, quickest at a 13.743.
And again, a lot of drivers looking at that lap, again, a 13.7 in terms of what we've seen out of the Pro Late Models. That's been a good time, or what would have been a good time in many of the practice sessions that we've run all week long. We'll see if one of the other, I should say, Bryson Lopez Racing entries can follow up that effort here. The Atlanta Paving and Concrete and Sundance Equipment Sales. Number 6, it is Brandon Lopez out of Woodstock, Georgia, coming off a homecoming race for him at Cordele just a couple of weeks ago. You saw it in our highlights a little bit earlier. He was involved in a nasty crash on the back straightaway that ended his night prematurely, but nevertheless, a good lap here for Lopez, 13.827. Coming to the checker this time. Can he best his teammate? And he almost gets there, 13.774, as so far at it 2 with 3. There's a Bryson Lopez Racing lockout in the front row.
Boy, Lopez just about missed the entrance to the pit lane. He got it back under there as we welcome our 4th car to the Speedway. Out of Dix Hills, Long Island, New York, for Walker Motorsports and the Veterans of America, FurnitureByWalker.com and RaceShopFloors.com, number 15, rookie Rodney Dallas. Started off the season with a 7th place effort at New River All-American Speedway and started up towards the front half of the field at Cordele before being involved in the big one that took place on a late restart. Had to settle for 22nd place finish. The rookie finds himself 7th in points with 2 races in the books, and he currently finds himself 3rd on the pylon after 1 lap. Dallas looking for not much, needs about a half a tenth to jump up to the Molly pole board. Does he have it on lap 2? Oh, it was close to 2nd for Rodney Dallas, 16 thousandths of a second shy of Tyler Wright.
Just look at that, 4 cars in, and just the separation between your top 3. You could throw them under with 31 thousandths of a second. It is very close here early on in the portion of Pro Late Model qualifying. But next out on the racetrack in the Kane Brown family in Wright Entertainment Group Chevrolet out of Windermere, Florida, the number 61 of Evan McKnight taken to the racetrack. And you can look at that car and barely see that number 1 that is right next to the iconic number 6 of Setzer Racing and Development, as McKnight turns in a time that nearly puts him on the front row, or in the 3rd position, the inside of the 2nd row, I should say, 13.879, lap number 1. Let's see what lap number 2 has for the number 61. It is an improvement, but will stay in the 4th position for now.
Perhaps one of the most interesting stories slated to fire off from the grid, unfortunately having a bit of a problem getting the car to fire. This is number 82 out of Dallas, Texas. This is the Asphalt Anarchy car that's going to get a bump start from his team. This is the Comp Cam's Edelbrock and Kenda Tire number 82 car for Taylor Hull. Now, Hull was on the property at Cordele when we were down there in Georgia just a handful of weeks ago, attempting to make his return to stock car racing after being a former Formula Drift pro racer. He was with Formula Drift for several years, decided that going into 2025, he wanted to step away from that discipline of motorsports, at least at that level. He still continues to compete in drift events with cars in which he has, in which his friends own. He documents the whole thing very well across his YouTube channel, but he was talking about his return to getting into oval competition in several years. He's back in a Pro Late model. He's on the Speedway, which is one thing he wasn't able to do when it came down to doing at Cordeal. And his first lap is going to be a 14.231 for Taylor Hull. The issue that kept him out at Cordeal was a head gasket. Right now, the car appears to be working just fine for Hull to make his Cars Tour Pro Late model debut later on tonight. And he will remain 6th with a 14.136 in his return to oval competition for Taylor Hull.
Next car, we're turning loose to the number 54, Team Critical, Groton Bowling Center. Number 54 for Walker Motorsports out of Waterford, Connecticut. It is Brody Monahan. Again, one of a pair of cars that we'll see out of the Walker Motorsports stable here tonight in the Pro Late models. Was a part of the race at Cordeal. Unfortunately, again, there were a lot of cars and a lot of drivers experiencing misfortune there. And unfortunately, Monahan was no exception. But just like Cordeal, a fast qualifying effort here to start the night off. He started 3rd at Cordeal. He has 4th right now. Let's see if he can jump up to that 3rd position, if not better. But he is not going to be able to improve that time on his second go-around. So Brody Monahan, 13.793, 4th fastest, the cars we've sent out thus far.
How about the 2025 Cars Tour Pro Late model story for this young man? Mahle Pole Award winner at Cordeal. Factory Academy's most laps led at Cordeal. Heat Wave Hot Lap at Cordeal. And what wasn't intended to be his debut. He was on the property at New River for the season opener, but fell ill as the weekend went on. He had to sideline his Cars Tour debut. He won the pole there and goes right to the top on lap 1. Keelan Harvick in the Rackley War Treetop number 62 Chevrolet jumps up to P1 by 0.02 of a second and is looking for more on his second time by, and he will find it. Now he's got about 100th of a second of breathing room. Keelan Harvick trying to go back-to-back for the Mahle Pole Award in the Cars Tour.
A blistering lap from Keelan Harvick, but perhaps there's nobody set up better to try and go to the top of the chart for the Mahle Pole Award than the defending series champion. Back with us after an off weekend, approached him this week in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He is back with the team that he ended 2024 in before taking the Drivers' Championship a year ago, and the number 31, this time Atlanta Paving and Concrete Chevrolet. For the 3rd race car for the Bryson Lopez Racing Camp, it is Aledo, Texas's Caden Honeycutt, whose first lap is going to go 7th fastest at a 13.859. Again, Honeycutt making the most of this weekend here at Orange County Speedway. Will be competing in both the pros and the late model stocks as his second time through. I believe that is still going to stand on a 13.839. So Honeycutt a little bit off the pace here in qualifying.
Next up, the driver who won the FloRacing Field Award, our season opener at New River All-American Speedway. Driving for his family-owned entity, the GESI DPX Fit G-Sport by GESI and AR Bodies number 91. Initially out of Yorba Linda, California, now calls North Carolina his hometown. Dylan Garner in his second Cars Tour Pro Late model season in what has been a really good start to 2025 for Garner and company. He's currently 3rd in points with a pair of top 10s to start the season, 6th at New River, 9th at Cordeal. Now looking for a solid qualifying effort at a racetrack in which he suffered some misfortune early last season. He times in 9th fastest as Garner. He's going to hope to stay into the top 10 if he can.
Again, just a couple of cars left here in Pro Late model qualifying. The next one up is going to be the number 28 out of Southwest Ranches, Florida, T.J. Duke, taken to the racetrack. He's made a couple of starts in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series and NASCAR Xfinity Series in the early portion of the 2010s, and has had several starts in what was the Cars Super Late Model Tour a number of years ago. First lap through here for T.J. Duke is going to go 11th of that amount of cars that we've sent out thus far. Lap sits at a 14.193. And TJ Duke is going to be able to jump up one spot. In fact, gets it by just 1/1000th of a second over Taylor Hull. So now TJ Duke just inside the top 10.
Next driver on the racetrack, driving the Rick Ware Racing number 51 from Parts Plus, Schaefer's Oil and Ford Performance. His father, Tommy, the competition director at Rick Ware Racing. This wheelman is someone who has been lighting it up in just about everything he gets his hands on. Tour Type Modified winner with the Smart Modified Tour, Smart Champion in 2024. Also made his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut at Martinsville. A warm welcome back to Luke Baldwin to the Cars Tour Pro Late Model Series. He times in 6th quickest on his first lap, gets right up to the outside wall off of turn 2, and we'll see if he can bump his way up into the top 5. Better than that, to the pole. Luke Baldwin to the top of the charts by nearly 1/10 of a second. What a flyer.
Talked to him earlier today, and he just gave me a nod and said, we're going to be good tonight. And I tell you what, he was not lying, and what a night to do it. Again, Rick Ware, the owner of that race car, going to be in attendance tonight after flying in from the 4-wide Nationals that are going down in Charlotte. He'll be here tonight at Orange County before turning right back around and headed to Talladega for the Cup Series race tomorrow. But again, another hot bullet in the chamber that could unseat Luke Baldwin at the top of the charts in the Sensor Racing and Development number 6 out of Chester, Maryland. It is Ben Mayer, whose first lap will go 8th fastest at a 13:8:37. Again, started up front. He had a full starting spot next to Hill. He'll try to match that or do better tonight, but unfortunately he's going to come up short in that endeavor. Ben Mayer, 8th fastest at a 13:8:37.
2 cars left to go, including the driver who took home the win at New River All-American Speedway. Even though it did not come in the manner in which this driver, the Wilson Motorsports team, would have hoped for, it was an accomplishment that she will be very proud of and will go down in history as the first woman driver ever to win a Cars Tour sanctioned event, as she did so at New River All-American Speedway to kick off the season. The Mobile 1, Toyota Gazoo Racing North America, and Peels number 24 from Clovis, California. Jade Abedissian, back in Cars Tour Pro Late Model competition, didn't make the trip down to Cordele, but in the interim since we last saw Jade, ran the Carolina Pro Late Model race at Hickory, picked up a win and a 2nd place in 2 races there. Right now, she clocks in 7th fastest in her number 24 car, and she is hustling that car up off turn 2, looking for a little bit more pace. The penultimate car from Molly Pole qualifying will come across the line and not improve on lap number 2. A tick slower for Jade Abedissian with now 1 car remaining.
And again, this driver was slated to go out a little bit earlier, but as we saw, again, the covers went on the race car. They pulled this car back and allowed it to go a little bit later in the qualifying order. In the 54B of Jared Butcher out of Porters Lake, Nova Scotia, Canada. The Atlantic Tilt Load, 90 Creative, and Top Construction Toyota. Again, just the final car that can try and unseat Baldwin at the top of the charts. And the first lap through for this number 54B is going to be 8th fastest for now. 13:8:49, needs a little more than 2/10 of a second to try and get up and best the lap of the number 51, but it is not going to happen. Butcher will stay 11th fastest. And wouldn't you know it, Eric, by nearly 1/10 of a second, your Male Pole Award winner in the Pro Late Models is going to be a return effort for Luke Baldwin.
Unbelievable effort for Luke, who 1 year ago was able to celebrate something very similar to what he accomplished here today by being able to start up towards the front of the field when that field came down for the green flag. I do believe this is his first official Male Pole Award in his Pro Late Model career. We'll run that back in a few moments, but as you said, by nearly 1/10 of a second, which for Cars Tour terms, that's huge to be able to get the field that much over Harvick. Tyler Wright for the great qualifying effort. Same with rookie Rodney Dowless. Brandon Lopez, the 2nd quickest of his team cars in 5th. Brody Monahan, Jade Abedissian, Evan McKnight, Ben Mayer, Caden Honeycutt, your top 10.
Jarrett Butcher, the car that just went out, finishes up in 11th. Isaac Kitzmiller was 12th fastest. 13th, Dylan Garner in the 97. TJ Duke was 14th, and Taylor Hull was your 15th fastest. Again, 15 cars set to take the green flag for the Folsom Fence Supply 250 tonight at Orange County Speedway. And again, Folsom Fit Supply, what a great partner that they have been to short track racing. Not just going to be the title sponsor of this race. I know many local drivers that have Folsom Fit Supply on the hood of their race cars, including a local competitor, Josh Waldron, that I know at Ace Speedway, and will also be the title sponsor next week in Altamaha for that race as well. So Folsom Fit Supply, we truly appreciate all of their support of short track racing and here in the ZMAX Cars Tour as well. But again, tight schedule, got to get them rolling quick. We're going to start right now with the late model stock cars. Had a very long conversation with Timmy Tyrell, Minnie Tyrell's father, earlier today, and the amount of festivities that they are planning for their annual Minnie's Mission race at Dominion Raceway, taking part in a couple of months when we go to Dominion. And it's going to be very, very special of what has already been a very special season for the number 81 Convenience Tire and Auto, BDL Motorsports, and Victoria's Swimwear Toyota as a driver out of Manassas, Virginia. Will start us off the late model stock cars, and it is a good lap number 1 for a car that has topped the charts all weekend long and all season long for that matter. 14.169 for Minnie Tyrell in his first lap through, and lap 2 will go a bit better, 14.156. I think the Tyrell camp will be pretty happy with that.
So the next car enters the racetrack. Let's toss it down trackside. James Pike.
In the PLM's Luke Baldwin for Rick Ware Racing. Luke, what made this car so fast in qualifying?
Man, that's just Troy, Holly, JR, Mike, everyone at Rick Ware Racing building a badass Ford Mustang. Huge thanks to Parts Plus, Jacob Companies, Schaefer's Oil, Schluter Systems, everyone that makes this deal happen. Rick, Robbie, my dad, everyone at RWR. This thing's been on a rail all week. It's been badass. I think it's so qualifying. I'm also excited for our race day, so we'll see.
He's looked confident all weekend in the pits, guys.
Thanks, Mike. It will not be another pole for Minnie Tyrell as the Liberty in a Can, Victory Customs Trailers, and Team Building National 54 for Henninger Racing's Donovan Strauss will go to the provisional pole with a 14.107, about 500ths quicker than what Minnie Tyrell made.
Next car on the racetrack again, he was one of the first 3 cars that we saw a little bit earlier go out in Pro Late Model qualifying. It's going to be the same here in the late model stock cars for young Tyler Reif out of Davidson, Nevada. This time it's a Matt Piercy Racing Chevrolet that he'll be piloting for this late model stock race. Again, was the recipient of the Hard Charger Award earlier this season at New River All-American Speedway. His effort in the late models in first lap for Tyler Reif is going to be the fastest one so far, 14.098. We've had 3 consecutive drivers go out and go fastest here in the late model stocks. Can Reif go a bit better here? In fact, he's going to break into the 13-second range, 13.991.
That is unbelievable, as that is only the second time that we would see a lap in the 13-second bracket, and that is very close to what would be the track record for the Cars Tour, 13.969. So we're about 300ths off of what could be a track record according to my notes here, as we welcome the 3-time Cars Tour late model stock champion and pole winner here last year, driving his own Champion Automotive and GXS Wraps McCarty Motorsports number 6. Bobby McCarty, winner of this race in 2019, has never started worse than 11th here in 6 prior races. His worst finish here was last year after he was involved in a crash, but he led 86 laps before it happened. McCarty's first lap was not what they were looking for. Lap 2 wasn't either. He's about 2/10 off of the lap laid down by Wright. McCarty, 4th of 4 so far.
This driver was one of the happiest drivers you found down in the pit area when we were in the state of Georgia a couple of weeks ago. He absolutely loved that facility, and he takes pretty well here to Orange County Speedway as well. The number 2 Crossroads Harley-Davidson, IBCI, and Josh Sellers Chevrolet out of the Carroll Speed Shop camp out of Oak Ridge, North Carolina. It is Brandon Pierce coming around to take the white flag from Brandon Willard. And Pierce's first offering here tonight is going to be a 14.308 for Brandon Pierce. Again, one of those drivers that races way forward all night long before, unfortunately, the car sputtered late at Cordeal, and he is going to find a lot here on lap number 2, nearly 0.2 of a second for the number 2, and Brandon Pierce goes up to 3rd.
Much anticipated and warm welcome to 18-time NASCAR Cup Series winner, including the 2008 Daytona 500. He's been spending a lot of his time lately driving and winning in tour-type modified action, including right here in Orange County about a month ago with the Smart Modified Tour. Driving the High Rock Vodka, Mac Piercy Racing number 7 from South Bend, Indiana. The Rocket Man, Ryan Newman, trying to get up to where his teammate is right now on the provisional pole. First lap is going to be 6 at a 14.223 for Newman as he's trying to pick up a little bit of pace here on lap 2, back to the line. And he will do that up to 3rd. A good pickup from Newman from lap 1 to lap 2. Ryan Newman to P3.
Walking in, despite the finish at Cordeal, it was an alternator issue for the number 28 Pinnacle Racing Group Chevrolet out of Connolly Springs, North Carolina. S. Huffman, a great run that he had going earlier at Cordeal just a couple of weeks ago. It was an alternator issue, of which there were a couple in that field that happened, but they are bringing in a ton of confidence here to Orange County Speedway. You can see getting very high up there in turns 3 and 4, coming to his initial lap. We'll see what the first offering is here for Landon S. Huffman. And so far it is 7th fastest of the 7 cars that we've sent out so far, 14.246. A little bit lower this time through 3 and 4. Looks a little smoother. Is it going to translate to the stopwatch? Indeed it is. 6th fastest this time for Landon S. Huffman at 14.165.
Last time out of Cordeal, this driver captured the Crossroads Harley-Davidson Hard Charger Award. He also wrapped up the FloRacing Fieldmaster Award at Cordeal. He's a 2-time winner to end 2024, 3-time winner on the tour. Driving the Mike Darn Racing, Jones Utilities Construction and Family Tire and Auto number 44 out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. Connor Jones won the pole for the Pro Late Model race here last season. Finished 4th in the race. Jones's first lap is a 14.315. 32 late model stocks on the property. Top 28 will lock in on time. There will be 2 provisionals, and if Bobby McCarty happens to need to pass Champion's provisional, we will relay that as well at the end of the session as Jones jumps all the way up to the front row.
Seen that many a times from the Mike Darn Racing camp, especially at racetracks like this. They're a little bit larger, a little bit faster. That is where Connor Jones was spectacular. You think of Tri-County and North Wilkesboro Speedway to end 2024. And then here's another driver that carried a ton of momentum into the 2025 season, but unfortunately it has been slowed by a couple of mechanical issues. We just mentioned the alternator issue for Landon S. Huffman. It was the same for the driver of the number 15 Leisure Time Reynolds Chevrolet at Cordeal. This is Ryan Millington, whose first offering, again, will be 9th fastest, 14.279. Expecting a big pickup here on lap number 2. For the Millington Motorsports entry, and indeed he'll go up to 6th, just behind the lap slotted in from Brandon Pierce, 14.155, the new lapper record for Millington.
Minus a runner-up effort at Wake County after starting back in 13th, this driver has been nearly perfect to start the season. Average finish of 1.3, 21-point advantage coming into this race, which at this point of the season is huge. The Bass Pro Shops, Roto-Rooter and Steve Chevrolet out of Hampton, Virginia for Junior Motorsports. Connor Hall, fresh off the win at Cordeal from outside pole. He times in 6th fastest on his first lap. And it should be noted that throughout the test day here, optional practice day, and the practice sessions earlier today with a big slide to the line, this car did not seem to have the type of pace we may have expected, and that may fall back into what we see here in qualifying. Hall is going to miss out on the top 5 right now.
11th driver out on the racetrack here and qualifying about a third of the way through the field as Kings Williams, Virginia's Chase Burrow will take the green flag in his 00 Medic Corp AH and drive baseball Toyota for his family-owned race team. Again, best finish his 2nd game last year at Tri-County, and he may start 1 position shy of that tonight. First lap through for Chase Burrow is an absolute flyer. 14.094. He can challenge for pole with a better 2nd lap. Is he going to do it? He's going to come up just shy as Burrow goes a tick slower on lap number 2. But what a lap for Chase Burrow. Slotted into 3rd for down.
Heard from this driver just a short while ago. Comes into this race 7th in championship points, fresh off a podium effort at Cordeal. Has spoken so highly of this race car since they put it together and gave it to him to do battle with at Wake County. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't for the incident with Ryan Millington that put him towards the tail end of the field at Wake, he could have been walking away with back-to-back podium efforts, but a great start for the IBCI, Sugarlands Distilling Company, and Josh Sellers, number 57, from Claremont, North Carolina, in the Carroll Speed Shop entry. Landon Huffman working his way through 3 and 4 to see if he's got anything for the sub-14-second lap that Tyler Reif had laid down. First time around for Huffman is going to be 12th. He needs one of those big pickups that we've seen from the likes of Sam Newman or a couple of other cars that have been on the track so far, whose first lap may not have been up to par. The second time around for Huffman is going to move him up to 8th. So Landon Huffman is the now. I want to say well into the top 10, but into the top 10 for the moment.
You know, looking at this car a year ago, it was Brent Cruz who was behind the wheel, who ended up going to victory lane for his first win in the Z-Max Hard Tour. But I tell you what, he was able to work the car on the bottom. He was able to run the car on the high side, and I don't know if there was anybody better to run the high side at Cordeal, especially in turns 3 and 4, than Supply North Carolina's Landon Lewis in the Red Source and MMI Chevrolet for Kevin Harvick Incorporated, looking to repeat that effort that Cruz gave a year ago here tonight as Lewis's first lap, again, 14.295. We'll see if there's a bit of a pickup here with Landon Lewis on lap number 2, and it is, but he is going to stay 13th fastest. Landon Lewis, 14.218. Landon Lewis, the number 29 car.
Next on the racetrack, a driver doesn't have all that much experience here at Orange County Speedway, but since Cordeal made her ARCA Series East debut at Rockingham, started 5th, finished 8th, and ran all the laps in her Rev Racing entry. Now back behind the wheel of the Folsom Fence Supply 03 for Lee Pulliam Performance. As we said a couple times this season, anytime that your premier partner puts their name on the race as well, you certainly want to have yourself a night. Lady Vice is hoping for just that. The Jackson, Georgia driver locks into the top 10 the first go-around. 8th fastest for Laney. We'll see if Laney can move further up the running order right now. And that Folsom Fence Supply 03. Back to the line for Laney. Vice, second lap will be a tick slower. Vice, though, 8th so far of the 14 cars that have been on the racetrack.
Again, we talked about the fact that this was going to be a green racetrack. I think, you know, typically everybody kind of likes to go out a little bit later in qualifying, as the 06 is going to have a little bit of traffic to do with. As Vice missed the entry to the pit lane, she gets down in 1 and 2, so it looks like not going to impede the lap at all for the 06 Bolts and Nuts and Rockin' Sea Farm Chevrolet out of Oxford, North Carolina. It is Terry Deese in the 06 who takes to the racetrack. Again, a bit of a bobble there, and had some cars to contend with. That first lap for Terry Deese is a 15th place lap for now, 14.269. Checkered flag off of turn 4, and Deese again going to pick up, but not too much, 14.220. So Deese stays 15th.
Deese sandwiched between the two Lee Pulliam Performance team cars. This is the Air Doug number 88, the driver out of Forest Hill, Maryland, Doug Barnes Jr., who we last saw at Cordeal en route to what was a top 10 finish. Made a visit to the watermelon patch in turn number 3 at Cordeal. Well, he ran a local show up towards his home track at Dominion Raceway and got redemption with a bit of a watermelon smash in victory lane at Dominion Raceway, Ross Chastain style. He had some fun with it, hoping to bring that same type of mentality here to Orange County, but the first lap shows he's got a little bit of work to do here. 16th for Doug Barnes Jr., 14.347 the first time around, hoping he saved the best for last as he comes to the line. He went quicker, but did not pick up any spots. Doug Barnes Jr. right now, 16th quickest.
And what, I think that's 3 cars in a row that all have kind of lined up at the back of the pack, and was kind of mentioning that point earlier, is that with the fact it's a green racetrack now, the sun is out, it was cloudy, it was raining, the track's starting to pick up a little bit of temperature, and it's going to be difficult for these cars that just happen to draw a little bit of that later qualifying draw, but we'll see if anybody can figure it out. It can be the former track champion at Orange County Speedway out of Durham, North Carolina, Camden Gully, and the commercial Reed Finishers Ford. has his first lap clock in, and again, he'll follow suit with all of the cars in front of him. 17th fastest for the 0-1 of Camden Gully into 14.253. He's a driver that needs to time his way into the show, and he may have just done it with that lap. He'll jump up into the 13th position, 14.186 for Camden Gully, who again, I think that'll be good enough to put him in the show, but it's going to be close.
He can breathe easy right now, Camden Gully. That's a big opportunity for that young man as we welcome Andrew Grady to the racetrack. The ABC Hosiery and Apparel TG Motorsports #1 out of Youngsville, North Carolina. Making his return to the tour after the team elected to not make the trip down to the Peach State. His only prior Cars Tour start in Orange County came here last season. Good first lap for Grady, into the top 10 on his first go-around with a 14.152. Last time we saw Grady started in the top 20 at Wake County, but unfortunately had a mechanical failure early in that race and finished in 26th. Second time around for Andrew Grady is going to be a tick slower. He's currently anchored at the top 10 cars.
And I think given, again, the draw that Grady may have had, that was a really good lap. He was fun to listen to on the radio earlier today in practice as we welcome the #4 GU Eagles, Sterling, the building group, WG Speaks, and Castle Glass Ford for RNS Race Cars out of Fulshire, Texas. It is Cade Brown, who very quietly has nestled his way up into third in the championship point standings. Has been a consistent season for Cade Brown, and he needed that after 2024, and he's going to get another one here, going up to 5th for now. Cade Brown at a 14.132. Again, we've seen a lot of slowdowns here on lap #2 for Cade Brown. Buck that trend. It looks like he's not going to be able to do that. Cade Brown, still a very solid 5th fastest lap for Cade Brown, 14.132.
I think that lap by Brown gave the rest of the field hope, because for a while it looked like everyone was going to be anchoring this field a little bit as we run through these cars. Next on the racetrack, a driver who had a little bit of fun on a social media outlet showcasing the evasive maneuver he did on the late race restart stack-ups at Cordele. If you want to check that out on the Buddy Isles Racing page, you can head on over there and do just that. A tremendous job for him in what was a career-tying best effort at Cordele. 7th. This is the Timber Waters over 11th for the Littleton, North Carolina native, Buddy Isles, who's on the racetrack now. He won several races here in 2022 after pivoting to pavement and continued to race many local shows here in 2024. Isles comes across the line, 19th of the 20 cars that have been on the racetrack so far. He's looking for one of those big pickups and the difference between lap 1 and lap 2 of the qualifying session. You see turn 4 now well in shade, and Isles is going to pick it up about 4 spots. Buddy Isles Jr. to the top 15th place for now.
This is why this series is so tough. Ryan Newman sitting in 6th, all the way down to Buddy Isles Jr. 6th to 15th. That's a big difference in starting position, but yet that is 4/100ths of a second. Every single week we talk about how important qualifying is. And this driver, when I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, said that that was his biggest priority in trying to come over from the modifieds and learn how to handle these late model stock cars. And the autos by Nelson, Napa Auto Parts Toyota for Nelson Motorsports. We welcome in Carson Lofton in the number 22, whose first lap is 20th fastest for that of Carson Lofton. 234, one of the many drivers who earlier this afternoon was complaining about his car just being a little bit too free, but boy does he pick it up on lap #2. Carson Lofton up to 10th. He ties the lap laid down by Landon Huffman.
Next driver on the racetrack trying to make his second start of 2025. Made his first start at Wake County. Started and finished in 17th spot, a track where he won a pole last season. This is the Glass Guy, CR Phillips Electrical, McKay Capital Partners, 05 for the Alpha Sports team out of Richmond, Virginia. Mason Bailey, who made Orange County one of his few scheduled starts in 2024, but retired early due to a mechanical failure in this race last season. 05 car working his way down the back straightaway. Mason Bailey. Tyler Reif still the pole sitter. Connor Jones your front row. As Bailey comes across the line, 22nd quickest. It's very unfortunate for Mason Bailey, who may need to try to make this race on time, depending on how the provisionals work.
And a couple of teams are going to be down there sweating it out, and one of those is on the racetrack right now, the Fogelman Landfill and Bowl City Performance Chevrolet out nearby Durham, North Carolina. It is a hometown showing for the number 8 of Tate Fogelman. Run many races here, both in a late model stock and in a super late model at this racetrack, but he indeed will need to time into this race if he wants to make it. And Fogelman's first lap is going to put him right on the bubble. 21st fastest for Tate Fogelman's first offering. 2:21. Again, he can pick up nearly 3 spots if he goes just about 100 faster, and he's going to find that and more on lap number 2. Tate Fogelman, what an effort. He's up into 6th. No worries for that team now.
Here's the driver that we heard from a little while ago, driving the Mike Dorn Racing Southern Bank number 4 out of Wilson, North Carolina, trying to make his first Cars Tour sanctioned late model stock start at Orange County. It is one of the many of 4 cars in the field. This one driven by rookie Parker Eatman, who is on the clock. Eatman is the 24th car to come down to take time. This is his first official timed lap. And again, top 28 will be locked in on speed, and Eatman 22nd that time through. So you got to beat at least 4 cars to know that you have nothing to worry about. Eatman looking for a couple more cars of breathing room if he can get there. Second time around for Eatman will lock him into the show. 18th fastest for Parker Eatman. A good pickup on lap number 2.
Certainly so, as again, one of the drivers anticipating a return here to Orange County Speedway is Trinity, North Carolina's Jared Fryer in the Eatman Mobile Motors and GXS Scraps machine, a former champion in 2020 in the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. And again, it's going to have to be somebody who was 29th in Motorsports in 2024 that's not going to come into play, but it's not going to come into play for Jared Fryer at all. He's going to be able to time his way into the show. A 14.184 lapper record for him. Going to be good enough for 19th. Nestles just in front of the former track champion in Camden Gully. And second lap through for Jared Fryer. Wow, he bumps up into third. 14.093.
And as some of that shade starts to come across the front stretch now, maybe the track temperature starting to swing the other way with the sun starting to set on the far side of the racetrack as Ryan Wilson enters the shaded area. What he hopes to be his second start in 2025. Made his first start of the year at Cordele, was able to avoid all the carnage at the end of the race and finished 17th running all the laps. He's also trying to make his first Cars Tour start at Orange County since 2016. For Ryan Wilson in the Mid-Carolina Landscaping family-owned team out of Randleman, North Carolina. This would be the 3rd Orange County start of his Cars Tour career if he can lock his way into the show. Wilson comes through, and right now he is in a bit of a danger zone. 24th out of 26 cars so far for Ryan Wilson.
And that is going to be tough, again, with Doug Barnes Jr. right now taking up the 25th position. That is an entry that you would imagine would be in a good position in the owner's points to transfer in. So they're going to be sweating it out there for the team out of Randleman, North Carolina. So we welcome Chad McCumbee in the number 16, Aaron Sales and Lee's Ford out of Supply, North Carolina. Solid opening in 2025 in terms of speed for the number 16 of Chad McCumbee, and he's got one fast hot rod here tonight. First lap up into the 6th position for Chad McCumbee. 14.120, looks really solid and can get a little bit lower than 3 and 4. Is he going to challenge for the pole? He comes up just shy of the Thunder Road Harley Davidson pole award, 14.083, but it is good enough for the front row for now.
This time may be the right time for these cars that are starting to roll out late, as we've only got about a handful of cars left to go. This driver 6th in points and had a great run going before the late race restart pileup. Nestled him back to finish 14th at Cordele on what was a solid rebound. This is the Bessemer Tire and Auto, Affordable Heating and Air, and Bunny Scoop 04 for the Bassett Racing Team out of Lexington, North Carolina, Ronnie Bassett Jr. Bassett fell from 2nd to 6th in points after the late misfortune. His first lap was good enough for 8th. Let's see if he can jump his way up to the front row as Bassett comes to the line. As he comes to the stripe, that second lap is going to be a tick slower. So Ronnie Bassett Jr., though, safe into the top 10 for now.
One of the many drivers who I talked to who emphasized we've had race-winning cars, we just haven't had the track position, but I think with Ronnie Bassett Jr. starting in 8th, that is a car throughout 2025 that has shown a ton of speed. Placed the rear foot on the car after that restart wreck that he was involved in, but should be very strong tonight. As we mentioned, this driver doing double duty for Bryson Lopez Racing in the Pro Late models. It'll be Hedinger Racing in the Cook Electric and Victory Custom Trailer Chevrolet. For Aledo, Texas's Caden Honeycutt, who will come across this time in the late model stock cars. He's starting just inside of the top 10 in the Pro Late models. Here in the late model stock cars, it's 23rd going for his first lap. And on lap number 2, he's going to jump up significantly, gains 10 positions, and is up into 13th. Again, 1/1000th off of the driver in front of him and Connor Hall. It sits in 12th, Caden Honeycutt 13th at a 14.143.
Next driver on the racetrack, hoping to make what he hopes to be his 3rd start of 2025 and 2nd at Orange County. So the 22nd and finished 17th here a year ago. This is the Constantino Burkett Attorneys at Law, Hartman's famous salad dressing, Markham Enterprises #1J for the multi-time track and state champion at Wake County Speedway, Clay Jones on the Speedway. Jones with a bit of a problem here as he comes off of turn number 2. He had a bit of a moment coming through turn number 4, so Clay Jones back to the pit area. And currently sitting 30th of the 30 cars that have been on the racetrack so far.
And again, with a lap like that, he does have some owner's points by virtue of running a couple of races here to open 2025. But that is going to be it's going to be tight for him to try and make the show. And again, maybe a glimmer of hope for the Ryan Wilson camp and some of these other drivers that are going to have to sweat this out in terms of the provisional points. But I was walking around the concourse just a little bit before we went live during the rain delay. A lot of fans that had on both this driver's shirt and his father's. It's Scott Riggs out of nearby Bahama, North Carolina. Great to welcome back a longtime Cars Tour veteran and current NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series driver in Lane Riggs. First lap through for the 17 is 4th fastest, and now he'll bump Chad McCumbee off of the front row. Lane Riggs goes to 2nd in the Proud Bare Knuckle Ford. Lane Riggs 2nd at a 14.073.
Final car to go. Here's the story. Tyler Reif in his late model stock car debut, trying to hold on to the pole. Car on the bubble right now. Ryan Wilson watching Jake Bowman from Huntington Beach, California, in his family-owned team for Factory Canopies, LPG Transport, and Pacific Coast Propane in what has been a wild year for this driver so far. Front of the field, missing shows. What's it going to be today? He's locked into the field. Bowman 25th that time by. That will bump Wilson from the locked-in spots as Bowman looks for a big pickup here off 4. And it's not going to happen, but Bowman is in the show. He will not have to sit out like he did at Wake County. And Tyler Reif, after getting tagged to drive one of the Matt Piercy Racing cars for the first time in a late model stock car, is going to win a Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole. Second time ever in Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award qualifying have we had a late model stock car with the Cars Tour break the sub 14-second bracket, and it is Tyler Reif who has done it with Lane Riggs making up your front row.
What an effort there for Tyler Reif. And again, we know Matt Piercy Racing, they've been bringing fast cars to the racetrack all weekend long, and they have a couple of cars that'll start towards the front of the field. Ryan Newman rolling off in 11th at the moment is the other Matt Piercy Racing entry, but what a marvelous effort for Tyler Reif, again, who had the benefit of being able to go out in the Pro Late models. We talked so much about the Pro Late models and going out on a green track and having to figure everything out. Reif gets the opportunity to gets back behind the wheel of a very fast race car and is fully able to take advantage of it.
Unbelievable effort for one of the drivers pulling double duty tonight, and Tyler Reif, who's had a bit of a bad luck streak going, if you will, for the last few rounds of racing that he's been involved in, whether it be on the Pro Late model side, the ARCA Menard Series side, the ARCA Menard Series East, where he is running full-time for Sigma Performance Racing, the number 23 car over there after he had some bad luck at Rockingham. But it appears as though the bad luck may finally be out of the way for the driver out of Davidson, Nevada, who is I'm sure going to be elated with the lap that he put down, and he was only the 4th car out on the racetrack. He was only one of the first few cars to be on the racetrack in what has been conversational conditions up to this point for Tyler Reif, and an exceptional effort for the driver, who will now have to quickly shift his focus back to the Pro Late model car, because that's going to be the next item on the agenda for him tonight. But he'll get a few moments to celebrate the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole. Quick debrief with his team, and hopefully we'll have a chance to hear from Tyler Reif in a few moments.
Hopefully so, but again, you just look at the rest of this field, and it's everything that we have come to love about the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. What makes it so difficult for these drivers is how close this field is all the way throughout, particularly from about 5th to 20th. I mean, it's immeasurable differences that make such a big difference in starting out front and not doing so. What an effort there for Tyler Reif. Again, your pole winner of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole in the late model stock cars. We'll hear from him after this break. Stay with us for continuing coverage of the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear, live from Orange County.
So how long do we have on the break?